Hello, and welcome to our wonderful presentation. I'm Mariquita Solis with We Did It Health, and I'm excited to welcome Jeanne Schumacher, and she's going to be giving us pro tips for plant-based holiday thriving, and we can all use that during the holiday season. It's pretty much on us, and so we've got to be ready. And at We Did It Health, we really want to help people communicate with peacefulness and effectiveness. And so that's another good reason that we've got Jeanne here, because she is an advocate for holistic well-being, and that is about peacefulness in your being. She has a doctorate in science and education and over 35 years of teaching experience. So I'm very happy to welcome you, Jeanne, to our show.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, and everyone that's watching, please give us, if you're watching on the replay or live, let us know your questions, and we're here to help navigate the holiday season. So, and let us know where you're joining from. All right, so we're very honored that Jeanne has a little presentation for us, and she's going to be answering questions. So, and can you tell us a little bit, Jeanne, where are you tonight?
I'm on Cape Cod and just had an absolutely lovely day traipsing around in the forest. What's cool about Cape Cod is there's so many different microbiomes within a very small area. So I was out today enjoying this amazing day. So
That's beautiful. I love it, because that just reminds me, I just went forest bathing this past weekend, and I think about, I mean, the connection with the trees that sometimes we're not aware of, how our bodies are healing when we're just simply being in their presence and breathing the gifts of that they give us. So,
it's true. It's true.
yeah, it
So do I
is.
need to share my screen?
Are you ready?
Yes.
Let's see. Let me get okay. I'm gonna let you take over, Jeanne.
All right. So I want to just show and start with, I think of it as a road, because you're navigating kind of, in and out of this presentation. I mean, of this whole holiday. So it is kind of a big thing. It's a big deal. But the first thing you want to do is to really talk to your host. That's one of the first things, because you need to share what your wants and needs are, so you just got to, contact. And I think of it like there's three different levels of people that you're going to be joining holidays with, your family. And typically up to this point, I had been doing family, holidays and things like that. We might have some friends come across, but it was typically family that I was sharing that with. And then this year I'm doing it with friends. So this is going to be a new, I'm navigating some new things here. And then acquaintances, like you're just moved to a new town and you don't have any family and friends, and your boss invites you over. So you're going to be encountering people you don't know, all that well. But you need to let them know if there's, first of all, any allergies that you might have. And let them know about that. Like if you have any gluten issues, or if you've got peanut sensitivity, whatever your issue is, because you don't want to be ending up in the emergency room with an EpiPen, if you don't have your EpiPen with you or whatever. So there's a couple things that you can do. One of the things you should do is, for sure, make sure that your host knows that you're plant-based and vegan, and because they may not understand, and what does that mean, so I've had people mix up vegetarian and vegan, and they're not really sure. Can you have cheese? Can you have milk? What can you have? What can't you have? They're not sure. So you might have to explain that. So that's a helpful thing. And one of the other things that you can do is to help plant what I call plantizing a recipe, because honestly, it's basic food. It's food. It's just food. And so, mashed potatoes and gravy can be mashed potatoes and gravy, and it could be plant-based very easily. So that's a really great, wonderful dish. I mean, that's easy to make plantized. You can use vegetable broth instead of chicken broth and the stuffing and gravy. And people sometimes don't understand, that, especially for me, I've been plant-based for a long time. So if I were to use like chicken broth in a recipe, or, eat that it could really throw off my gut biome, and it's not going to have very pretty consequences, in terms of your digestion. So, they just don't understand that your gut biome changes when you switch to a different diet. So and plant-based milks, you can use that in mashed potatoes to give it that creaminess instead of dairy milk. Or stuffing. Oh my God, there's so many different recipes for stuffing that are plant-based and delicious. Oh my gosh. And we have come a long way in terms of like plant milks, condiments, sauces, recipes. I mean, just look at all the different milks. I mean, there's soy milk, almond milk, oat milk, cashew milk. I mean, on and on and on. So you can find one that works for you. But it's pretty cool that you can navigate, this way a lot easier than it was. So and there's so many recipes you can offer to bring something to the, Thanksgiving dinner. You can offer to bring, a few dishes. And there's so many recipes, and it's easy to plantize and make a healthy version of it, pretty much anything. So, I'm really excited that the recipes are just really, really have expanded on so many levels in the comfort food. And Thanksgiving is probably one of my ultimate favorite holidays for sure. So, I mean, there's a lot to choose from. And, so that's the first thing, is to really connect with your host. And then, think about what it is that you want to bring. Again, it goes back to connecting with your host. Perhaps like your host might be willing to put aside some of the dish, like if they're making, mashed potatoes, before they make it so that it's non-vegan. Can you like just put some aside for me, and I'll bring up my own sauce? Done. That's an easy fix, or show up early and help in the cooking of this. I'm sure extra hands would always be, greatly appreciated. And it is an opportunity to show I'm not deprived. I don't know about you, but I am not deprived on any level. I mean, in terms of food, because people are like, so what do you eat? Like grass clippings, tree bark? No, I save that for a special occasion. But Thanksgiving is just one of the easiest holidays that you can really, really plantize very, very easily. So, one of the things that I did with my family, I was the only person in my family who went plant-based. So, kind of one of the things that I did is I would always bring an appetizer, and I really liked these Edward and Sons. They're brown rice, crackers. They have two types that are unsalted, and I like the sesame because it's just got a little bit more flavor to it. And then I'll buy a plant-based cheese. Now, that's a treat for me because I normally don't. Or you can make your own. And make a healthy version of them, or a healthier version, I should say. So, I get something that I normally wouldn't get. And then that I know I have something that I can eat. So as long as I have something to eat, I don't feel deprived. So I think that's one of the biggest things, is not feeling deprived. Then I always worked out, I would bring a huge salad because everybody likes salad. And I would just put my dressing on the side. And then there's a whole host of dressings people can pick from and choose, so that everybody gets their favorite. And then what I do is use these. These are called mini Hot Logics. And these are, the red one in particular, is it fits two of those glass dishes. Those are Pyrex, and I think they're like six cup that fit into that. And there are two of those can fit side by side in the red one. One fits in the smaller one. And I use that to take to work. But the red one up on top, you can fit two of those. And I have two of those red ones that they're like, 9 by 13, carry-ons that you can put a big dish in there too. But I'll make like 4 dishes. And as soon as I get to wherever I'm going, then I would pick a corner, someplace where nobody's going to be bothering it, any small children, whatever, dogs. I would plug them in and just leave them alone, and not try and get into the way of everybody, trying to prepare the turkey and the stuffing and the this and then that. I already got my food. So I know that it's going to be okay for me. I don't have to ask. I don't have to question. I don't have to bother, trying to plantize whatever. So I spend the day in the kitchen the day before, and I bring it and just have it heated up. Then I have dessert. I make the chocolate peanut butter pie, which is in the bottom left-hand corner. That is without question one of the best recipes. And all of my family recognize what that is and go, yeah, you can bring that. That's pretty good. We'll take that. So And people ask me all the time, so what kind of recommendations do you have? So you can go to my website, plantbasedacademy.net, and click under recommendations. And I've got all kinds of things that, from pots and pans to what kind of vitamins do I recommend. And I put little notes and stuff like that all in this. And, because when you find something that works, you want to shout it from the rooftops. So what I did is I put this into a huge Google document that you can click through. There's an outline on the side that shows you, you can click through from food to teas to supplements to vitamins, whatever. So, if there's something that you're looking for in particular, I can research it and find the best choice for you. So that's just one of the ideas, that I do, is that I make my own food and bring that. So it works out really, really well. Okay. Well, drinks is another problem because, first of all, if you're vegan, and going the vegan route, not all beer and wine is vegan. I don't want to burst your bubble. It's just better if you bring your own drinks, whatever you're going to drink, I typically just drink tea. I drink herbal tea, and I'll make my own specialty drinks as well. And I just bring those, and, whatever I'm going to be drinking that night, I just bring it myself, because then I don't have to ask or beg or hope that there's going to be something there that I can drink. And you might want to do something like bring some eggnog, that can be made easily plant-based. Or, like, for example, there's an almond sugar cookie hot toddy. That's delicious. I mean, there's just so many things that you can make that are delicious and work, So, if you're adventurous, bring some drinks and try them out on people, but at least for yourself, so that exactly, what you're consuming. All right. And I hate to point this out because it's just dinner. We don't have to like flip out or anything about this whole thing. It's just dinner. And we have to not forget, you were invited to this Thanksgiving dinner, whoever you're with, because people want your company, family, friends, acquaintances, whatever. They want to be around with you. You've got an invitation. So dinner is not the place to get up on your pulpit, to become preachy, to lecture on environmental impact, to talk about the horrors of factory farming and point out the dead carcass that's sitting on the middle of the table. We don't need to do that. We don't want to make, our host and the other guests uncomfortable, because it is uncomfortable, and it's painful to talk about, and there's just a lot going on there. You just don't want to do that. And if anybody wants to say, or ask questions, if they're legitimately interested, just say, can we schedule another time, to talk? I'd love to talk with you. I could spend hours talking with you about this whole thing. Happy to talk to you, but can we not do it today? Because today's just family. Today's Thanksgiving. Today is just being grateful, and having an attitude of gratitude. So that's what I look forward to, in that, is just to make sure that this is not the place to do this. You do not want to open up that can of worms. So what, there's always that person that is going to have an impact on your evening. The jokester, they've just got to come out with the cutting, nasty remarks. Don't take the bait. You don't want to jump in on this. Okay. So, I mean, when you think about this, whether you're choosing to eat, not eat animal products for animals, the environment, for our health, whatever it is, we are setting an example. We're taking direct action to make change. We're taking this path, and that casts a light on the people who are not. So sometimes there's that, who do you think you are? Goody two shoes, whatever. The best way is, first of all, don't take the bait. Don't get, offended by the jokes, whatever. Where's your tofurkey? Oh, please. Like I haven't heard that one before. Okay. You just smile, nod your head politely, and you move off to somebody else in another room and talk to them. You don't have to sit there hanging out with Uncle David and listening to him talk about, no, move to another, excuse me, I need to go get a drink, and just exit stage left. Understand that this is their issue, not yours, not at all. All right. Just smile, move on, and continue on your way. Just somebody else who's a little bit more easier to talk to. So, let's see. And just let's not lose the whole point of this, especially for Thanksgiving, is to give thanks for all your blessings and to be able to spend time with the people you care about. And the rest is plant-based gravy. I couldn't help it. That there is that pun intended. I just couldn't help that. Anyway. And I think in modeling this lifestyle, modeling your commitment, people are going to become curious about it. Why are you doing that? And once they learn about the benefits of a plant-based lifestyle, then they're going to show, I think, respect for my beliefs. And then they taste my food. And then they're like, kind of that recipe, that was really good. Especially, oh my God, those like chocolate fudge popsicles that are down there. Those are really delicious. But the food I've eaten more abundance of so many other things. It's crazy that, on no level am I deprived at all. So yeah, no, it's amazing that, that we can do this. And, let's not forget about what this is about, spending time with people you care about. It's just one day, people. It's just one day. Let's not forget that. All right. So that's it there.
All right. Wow. I love some of the points that you made, Jeanne. I mean, I like the whole presentation, but I really liked that. Well, that you can take yourself away from, to know that it's coming and not to take the bait and separate, right? And to set up, don't have the conversation at the table. I mean, that can just turn into a disaster, right? Because if you're the only vegan or whole food plant-based, you'll be the only one, and then everyone is going to be, so if somebody, which they might be very curious, sure, I'd love to talk to you about this. Let's talk about it on a later date. Right now, I want to focus on this, which I think is really, really powerful.
Right.
And yeah, because being the only one can be hard. And there's a lot of people that don't want to be with their families.
Oh, it's true. It's true. I mean, for a long time, I would get the questions like, what's in that? What'd you make it out of? It's food. Get over it. The people that are bringing, and I swear it was a competition to see who could bring the highest calorically dense food possible on this planet, plus the food that would harm you the most, like taking salami and wrapping it around cream cheese and bacon. I mean, like, oh my God, could you get any more worse for your arteries than that? I mean, and thinking this is wonderful, and nobody ever questions that person who brings that dish. Like, did you know that that's a type 3 carcinogen right there that you just brought into the house? I mean, like,
right, exactly.
I mean, wow, have you checked the news lately about that bacon or that salami? I mean, just anyway, so it's tough. It's tough to navigate. So I don't do it anymore. I mean, I used to at one point, gung ho. Oh my God, let me tell you what I found out, what I've learned, and how I've reversed, and I've lost all this weight. And for people that don't know my story, I started with a trip to the emergency room, and I had over 105-degree fever, and I would break out I was sweating so profusely that I was losing so much liquid and so much fluid. And then I would start these racking chills that they had to put like a mouth guard, because otherwise they were afraid I couldn't stop chattering my teeth. And so it just really became tough. I was a week like that in the hospital. And the woman who came to see me was not only a medical doctor, but she was a nutritionist. And that was it. When I got out of the hospital, they never figured out what it was. And I really don't care, because it was my body going, hello, what you're doing is not working. And so I went to see her as a nutritionist, and she started me on a book, Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease. And then that was it. I read that one night and I'm like, okay, next question. So,
How old were you then?
That was about 15 years ago. So, I mean, I feel better now You mean I've lost over 100 pounds without dieting? That's the part. I've gotten off like 4 blood pressure medications. I have healed my thyroid, which I was told was impossible, reverse fatty liver syndrome. I've stopped migraines. Hardly ever get sick. And if I do get sick, it's like for a very short period of time. My husband's reversed multiple sclerosis. I mean, it's such a powerful, what you have at the end of your fork is so powerful.
Wow, that is an amazing story. Yeah. And so, what did you used to think about? Did you know about vegans? Did you know about whole food, plant based, or anything like that before you had this issue?
No, I did not. I mean, I thought I ate healthy. Yeah, no. I don't know how I came up with that thought, but no. And it takes a while for you to hit that brick wall before you go, that's not working. So it took that time, and I'm glad I did. And it's one of the reasons why I do what I do. I mean, I started, simply plant-based. I lecture all over the place. I help people on different levels. I started the Plant-Based Academy, because you're going to have questions. You're changing everything that you thought was right and healthy, that how you were raised. And it's like, and now for something new, how to
Right.
cook,
Yeah.
how to cook, how to do this. So that's why I just try and share like what I've learned along the way, because there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn.
You're right. There is a lot to learn. It can be very overwhelming for people. So, I mean, we have to understand that, not just say it's so simple. Because, I mean, maybe it's simple to us now, but we have to
Right.
remember not everyone's
Right.
like us. So, what about your husband? Was he eager to change, or how did that happen?
He didn't have a choice. I cooked. He ate. I cooked.
I love that answer.
you know, if you want it, you can go out, but it's not coming into the house. We're done here. No, he was always very supportive of me and wanting to change, because I've lost 100 pounds. That's like carrying around 10 extra bowling balls on your body at all times. Like, seriously, 10 pound balls. Think about that, carrying that around with you. I don't know about you, if you've ever gone bowling, you're just slinging around one ball like it's 10 pounds, and you throw your back out. Oh, my hip, that hurt. Ow, wow. But here I was carrying around 10 of those all the time. And you don't
Wow.
realize the stress that it puts on your frame, and how you don't feel good. You just don't feel good. I mean, so now I feel good. Today I was out walking in the woods, forest bathing, and we went through a huge, beautiful pine forest up here. And then we went into a deciduous forest. Then we got into a whole nother area. We went over to the beach on the bay side of the Cape. So if anybody wants to come, Plant-Based Cape Cod, come visit us. I love being out in the woods and connecting. It's so beautiful up here. It really is. It's a magnificent place. So
That's amazing. Yeah. I know that JJ's up in Maryland, and she's got some comments here saying we prepared our Thanksgiving meal last year and it took it to the family, and people tried a few things. It was great to show people the excellent taste of plant-based food that tastes traditional too. Yes, you're right.
really,
We've come such a long way.
yeah, yeah, it's true. It's true. And I did things. I did a show with Kim Campbell, who is the daughter-in-law of T. Colin Campbell, and she's got some amazing cookbooks. Kim Campbell, she's got Plant Pure Nation cookbooks, Plant Pure Kitchen cookbook, and Plant Pure Comfort Food. And that is, all of them are great cookbooks. But what I like about them is they're simple, easy recipes. That it's stuff you would have normally in your kitchen. It's not that one weird recipe, one weird ingredient that you'll use once in this recipe and never use again. You're like, what was that? I have no idea. And so she uses very common things, and I like that a lot. But we did a show for a while, and it's like two of your best friends just sitting in the kitchen chatting, and she might do a cooking demo or something like that. And she's just brilliant. We challenged each other to plant-type recipes, and she took a recipe for my family. It's called date nut bread, and it has been in my family for a long time, for like quite a few generations. But there's a lot of stuff in there that's not healthy. so she plantized it and it's delicious and I can't tell the difference. I mean, she nailed the recipe. She really kept the original recipe intact and the flavor. So you can do it. I mean, there's ways to learn. We've learned a lot, over the time. So, and the recipe made it into her most recent cookbook, the Plant Pure Comfort Food. So I always got to have a shout out to my Kim. So
Yeah, definitely. Give us the secrets. Tell us who we should be, buying and looking up. Definitely, because
well,
we need to know.
I'd love her recipes. They're just phenomenal. They're just really, really, really good. And I like this
Does she,
comment. It says, "Go ahead."
does she have a YouTube channel?
I think it's Plant Pure Communities or
Okay.
Plant Pure Chef. She's on Facebook, Plant Pure Chef, and it's Plant Pure is the Facebook group, which is a phenomenal resource. But I love this comment that it says, somebody said, everything tastes really great plant-based too. People don't realize, and I love it. I love that comment because it's powerful. People don't realize, and especially once you cleanse your palate, my God, especially like after you do something like a fast or whatever, you're like, oh my God, did grapes always taste this amazing? Like, wow, this is so good. Or strawberries, raspberries. Oh, those are my crack. That's my crack now.
Yeah, and JJ, the one that just commented, she it does a lot of fruit. So she was eating fruit the other day. I know she wasn't feeling that well, so she was using grapes to heal, right? All the fruit. I mean, fruit is so good for our bodies. So yeah,
Yeah, lots of
it's
antioxidants.
exciting. Yes, you're right. And thinking about how we the I know I just finished the eCornell class, the plant-based nutrition, and remembering how Dr. Doug Lyle was talking, or Doug Lyle was talking about how, I mean, we're losing our tastes, because we've got these high fat, sugary foods, and we're drawn to that. And then we eat the apple, and it's like, well, that's not, because we're drawn to the high calorie, and the apple's not going to give us enough calories, but those are artificial. I mean, this is such an artificial food system that we're living in, and people don't question it. And that's so funny. Like you said, they say, what's in our food? Well, my gosh, what is in the food, this food that isn't even real food, that has no nutrients, that is labeled food? It's incredible.
I call it food-like substances.
That's a good one. Food
Yeah.
like substances, right?
But if you think about 5,000 years ago, what would have been in the environment that would have been high in fat? Pop quiz.
Avocado.
That's if you were in the right area, right? And how many times a year would an avocado become ripe?
Well, it wouldn't be year round. So not like here,
Right.
like we have today.
Right. Right. So you're not going to get them year round. You're going to get them once, maybe twice a year. I don't know how often they come into season. Okay. What else?
Potatoes? Is
Not
that high
really.
calorie? I can't think of anything that high calorie.
No, I'm looking for high fat.
High fat. Okay. It's hard to think of things that are high fat that are healthy.
Right. Well, I mean, what would you have found in that environment 5,000 years ago? Nuts.
Oh
See?
yeah, nuts. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I knew where every nut tree was in my neighborhood. I knew where that tree was. And we would go out with bags in the fall and collect all these nuts. And then I'd sit in my driveway cracking these nuts with a rock. And then I'd sit there with the nut pick. And at the end of 3 hours, you had a little pile of nuts this big, right?
That's the difference. Right. You're right.
Yeah.
And so we're grabbing the bag of nuts already and then just shoving them in.
Oh, and I could do that so easily. Honestly,
So can
I
I.
have no problems with that. But it's not just that. I mean, in terms of the nuts and whatnot, but a lot of things that we're eating are very high in fat, sugar, salt. There's a book by Michael Moss, who is a Pulitzer Prize research journalist. He wrote the book Fat, Sugar, Salt.
I have it right over there.
Yeah, no, it's powerful. It's a really good book. And he's not a food person. He's a journalist. And he went and did an expose. And I compare it very much to like the tobacco industry. They took leaves out of their playbooks. I mean, for sure. And, the first thing for tobacco was because it was so harsh on our lungs, they're like, okay, well, let's coat it with sugar, to make it softer so that we can, smoke it and hold it into our lungs. Okay, well, they covered it with sugar. And then the next step is they started adding more nicotine to the food to make it more addictive. So we're kind of doing the same thing. We're upping the amount of fat, sugar, salt in the foods, that holy trio that you eat something and go, it just bangs the fat, sugar, salt. And you're like, oh my God, this is amazing, So anyway, I digress.
No, you're right though. But I mean, I love talking about that. I love those books, those books that talk about the. Hey, there's another one over there. I can't think of the name. Well, the end of overeating talks about that. I mean, how we're
Yeah,
so addicted to these foods. I mean, well, because they're made to be addictive, and we're not even aware of it.
right. 100%. 100%. We are not aware of it. And it's sad. It really is. So, but you can do a Thanksgiving. You just got to navigate. It's part of it is communication and letting people know where you're coming from, and then offering to prepare or help, and just finding some dishes that you really like. Because, you know, there's the question in my house is this a make again? That's always on the table, because there'll be some recipes I make and my husband's like, my God, the dog didn't even eat that one. Wow. But that recipe that we will never make again is just as important as the ones you are, so that it helps you to understand what your flavor profiles you don't like, and that you prefer other things, whatever your taste buds, that you respond to. So, it's pretty powerful to know. And if you think about it, back in the day, we only had 10 or 12 recipes. It was, Meatloaf Monday, Taco Tuesday. You had those recipes that you cycle through. Now, instead of Meatloaf Monday, it's Mexican lasagna. And my husband, like, we do batch cooking. I say, cook once, eat many times. And that's what we do. And we'll be in the kitchen for several hours, my husband and I, and we'll be just making food and putting it into glass dishes and having it set and ready to roll, because failure to plan is a plan for failure. And so it's the same thing. It's just you're planning this meal that you don't know what you're going into in some cases, like if it's just acquaintances, you don't know what you're walking into. If it's family and friends, you kind of know, what's going on, how you can plan and negotiate that. But you've got to contact your host. And that's step one, without question. And then from there, knowing who your hosts are, how you're going to bring food. It's about the food. And that's what I did for the longest time. And this year is a new one for me because my family is moving in different directions. So we're not doing family, gatherings really anymore, which is it's a new chapter in my life. So we're getting together with friends who happen to be plant-based. We're like, what are you doing for dinner? What are we doing for Thanksgiving? What are you doing for Thanksgiving? And we're all here. We're stuck out on a big sandbar out in the Atlantic Ocean called Cape Cod. So a lot of us have moved here, and so we connect together. Plus, we have a group, a meetup group, Plant-Based Cape Cod. If you ever want to come, we try and have, potlucks and gatherings. We do movies, we do restaurant nights out and stuff like that. So it's fun. It's fun. So, we got a group of people that don't have any place to go. And that's a fun thing to do too.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. If I was going to be in that area, I definitely would join you. So, what did your family think, Jeanne, when you went plant-based? I mean, for the first Thanksgiving or the first holiday meal, what happened then?
Well, that's when people kept saying, my sister finally said, would you stop? Stop. No one wants to hear this. They don't. I am a food addict, and I'll be the first to go, hi, I'm Jeanne Schumacher. I'm a food addict, and I'll be the first to admit it. And both sides of my family are, and they're addicted to the very high food-like substances, and, that really have hit our pleasure centers. They, typically a lot of my family has health issues and problems. I'm the only one out of 5 siblings that is not on a sleep PAP machine, that is not on medication, to deal with a health issue, or have dealt with cancer, or, whatever. We've had a lot of things in our family, and it all has to do with what's at the end of your fork. I mean, I call it the trifecta. You have to change what goes in. So that's food and drink, You have to change what goes on. So that's the personal care products and the environmental toxins you're being exposed to. That's one of my absolute, because I think people are talking a lot about the food, but they, these environmental toxins, there's been over like 50,000 chemicals since World War II that have been introduced into the environment and to these personal care products. And I could spend hours talking about these things and what they're doing to us. Anything you put on your skin in 26 seconds is in your bloodstream. Anything, you know. And if you're taking medication, your body has to deal with that medication. Our bodies are not designed to be long-term on medications. I run a Facebook group called High Blood Pressure Facebook group, support group. And most of the people are on medications in that group. And it's like, you can get off a lot of your medications if you go plant-based, and a lot of people choose to stay on medications. I don't understand why, but okay, that's a choice you have to make. I mean, we make choices,
Right. Yeah, we do. And it's that it's hard to let go again. I mean, these addictions are so strong. I mean, of course I hear, I can never give up cheese. That's the big one, right? I can never give up cheese. So.
Because it is. And there's a book called The Cheese Trap by Dr. Neil Barnard. And I did a whole series with his book on that because that is such a powerful book. The reason why we're addicted to the cheese is because it has a drug in it called casomorphine. And it is addictive. And when you make it into cheese, you're taking cow's milk and you're concentrating it and you're making it even more addictive, And there are people that really are cheese addicts. And so it is the cheese trap, and it causes a lot of problems, a lot of health problems. So if you can get the cheese out of your diet, that's
right.
even better.
Yeah, and I think that we have to be cognizant of this when we're talking to people. We have to understand that they're not even aware, right, of how addictive this is. And so we have to have compassion for them and to be there whenever
Right.
they come, like your family comes knocking on the door. So that'd be very interesting to see if they want to turn it around, right? If there's anyone there that will turn it around, right? They're lucky they have you.
Well, it'd be a good resource, for sure. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. But, everybody's got their own path they're going to follow. And I'm just going to continue to be a good example and do what I'm doing. Because I think for me, we all have to know our why. Why is it that we're doing this? And for me, my why is I want to be out. It took me a long time to get up to Cape Cod. And it is such a magical place. I'm not kidding. It's so beautiful. And if you get a chance on Facebook, I have a group, Plant-Based Cape Cod. And I just posted the most beautiful pictures today of our walk. We, went forest bathing and in this beautiful pine forest and then deciduous forest. Then we were at there's called kettle ponds, which are remnants of the glaciers. And then we went over to the beach, the bayside, which when the tide goes out, the beach goes out for about 5 miles. You can walk out like 5 miles.
Wow.
So every 6 hours, this changes, with the tide. So high tide, low tide, high tide, low tide, every 6 hours.
That's
So
beautiful.
It's beautiful. It is. It's gorgeous. Oh my God. And when you get out there walking, it's just like, and at this time of the year, like all the tourists have gone home and it's still beautiful. It's still so gorgeous. So.
That's nice. Yeah, I'm glad you're there. It sounds like that was a good plan.
It is. And I want to be out hiking and kayaking and biking and doing all those things till the day I pass from this planet. I have more energy now than I did when I was half my age. I'm in better shape. I mean, I'm okay. I'm not going to go out and run or anything. A lot of plant-based people start running. That would not be this person unless there's a bear involved. I'm not running. Okay. But I will be on my bicycle and I do like to walk and I like to hike and kayak and stuff like that. So, that's what I want to be out there doing. I don't want to be in the nursing home. My mother-in-law went into the nursing home at age 72 and this was back in the day. So it was, a while ago. The first time she went in, it was $4,000 a month. And by the time she died 7 years later, it was up to 9,000. And I've had people tell me since that it's like 15,000 now a month. A month.
That is insane.
Who is going to pay for this? Just saying, who's going to pay for this? So, these are all things that we can change. And it doesn't matter how old you are, you can make these changes, and really help to navigate your own health. But there's a lot of confusion out there. There's keto, there's paleo, there's, whatever. And so I think that's one of the biggest things, is to know what is going to work for you and not going to hurt you long term. So.
Right. Yes, definitely. Because some are short term, quick fixes, right? But what's the issue in the long run? That's scary. I met someone that told me she ate lard. She was on the keto diet, and she said she eats lard, and I just thought, oh my gosh, she's young. She's, I would say, 30s or 40s. I don't even know what to say there. I just was basically speechless.
And you can't argue with these people, because, like, oh my God, my blood work's coming back and it's great. And I'm like, yes, but have you looked at what the long-term impact is going to be on you as soon as you stop this, what you're doing? Because you can't sustain that. You cannot. That's what I love about a plant-based diet, is I can sustain this for the rest of my life. That I have no problem with this. And the food, oh my God, it's so incredible. The variety. I eat more variety now than I ever did my entire life. Like, you have those 8-10 recipes and you just made them all the time. And so this, now I'm constantly, taking recipe, trying somebody else's recipe. And I'm like, let me tweak this. Let me make this my own and put my own spin on it, and how I like the flavor of it and stuff like that. So anyway.
Yes. Yeah. And Stephanie's saying that too. There's so much variety. Yes. And I'm learning now to just really experiment. I made a butternut squash, and acorn squashes, which I've never had before. And then just really using different spices instead of, normally I would have just doused them in butter or something, like, that would have been it. But, now it's really, it's kind of magical to create. So yes, definitely. It's fun. And people are not aware.
It is fun. I'm not arguing, and failure to plan. Stephanie made that point, is failure to plan is a plan for failure. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's about the food. And if you're hungry, like, I always have food with me, because if I'm hungry, I can talk myself into anything. Okay. I can sell myself on anything, even though I know it's going to be harmful to me or whatever. I can sell myself on it in a New York minute. And then it's not going to help me. So I look at it this way: either, you're going down a path and you can go left or right, and it's either going to help you or it's going to hurt you. There's not another choice in there, so you get to make those decisions, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and snacks in between. So
that's very true. And so this is what we have to do before we go to the holiday gathering. We have to know that there's going to be times that we're going to be uncomfortable. We can't just think, oh, everything's going to be great, and then get mad when it's not perfect, right? We accept that things are going to be bumpy. And like you said, it's only for one day. And to be, and be ready for the responses, be ready to let things go when someone says, like you said, what if, I guess don't you get sick of eating grass, right? That you're going to be jabbed, and that's okay, to be strong and get ready mentally to be strong.
And I like Stephanie pointed out, about, I like to call ahead, and going out to a restaurant is fun too. There's a lot of people that go out for Thanksgiving and enjoy that, because let me just say, there's a lot of cooking involved, in going in whether you're doing a traditional Thanksgiving or a plant-based Thanksgiving or a combination, whatever. There's a lot of cooking involved. My mother used to make my father take all 5 of us kids and go out hiking, while she was at home preparing all this, because she couldn't have had 5 kids under her feet and cook this, amazing Thanksgiving meal. And it's like you spend 4 hours, 4 days making this dish, that dish, this dish, and then you sit down and eat it, and like 20 minutes later, you're like, yeah, we're done.
And you're in a food coma.
And you're in a food coma, and you're just like, okay, And then you start picking at it the rest of the day, but still, it's all this work. It's a tremendous amount. So if you can go out to dinner and have somebody make a plant-based Thanksgiving, I'm in. I have no problem with that.
And
I
I
would
think,
love to do
yeah.
that.
And it's important to speak up. Like so many times I hear people get mad and say, well, there was nothing on the menu. But if we ask, I mean, chefs like a challenge. They want to see what they have in the kitchen and how they can accommodate you. So it's really important that we ask, even if we're not even hungry. Like a lot of times I just simply ask, what do you have on the menu? What do you have vegan on the menu, whether I'm going to order or not? Because I want them to know, right? That someone wants to know about vegan options and what can the chef create for me. And I've had some wonderful creations. So don't be shy. I mean, how can we make change if we don't speak up?
And I went to this restaurant and I had to go when I was teaching. They took us into the city for these professional development and they took us out to lunch. They couldn't have picked the most antithesis restaurant of the way I eat. They couldn't have picked one even as far away from the way I eat. They couldn't have picked one even. So I called ahead and I said, listen, this was like 2 days before. I said, listen, I'm coming in with my school group. I said, I have to go. I said, I'm plant-based, but I also don't eat oil and salt. What can you do for me? And after she stopped laughing, because she's like, have you seen our menu? And I'm like, I know. What can you do for me? And she says, well, our chef really likes to challenge. And so when I got to the restaurant, it was by far the best meal that I had ever had at a restaurant, bar plant-based ones, bar none. It was absolutely out of this world. And I went back and gave him a tip, and it was so funny because this was a restaurant. It was called Blue Smoke. And it was like Southern country, fried, everything. As much caloric density animal products as you could, mac and cheese and stuff like that. And like, wow. And everybody, when he brought out mine, now they were served us all like family style. So he brought out my stuff and everybody's looking over like, hey, and I'm like, mine, mine. No, you cannot have this. This is not family style. This is like one order. Forget it. So go eat your stuff. But it was the
I
best.
love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and here was a restaurant that couldn't gotten any further away from how I eat. And they came through. Even like steak restaurants, steakhouses. They've got amazing baked potatoes, although you have to be careful. Like some places are now injecting the baked potatoes with butter and oil.
Oh, thank you for the
It's all.
warning. Oh,
You have to ask. And like one place rolled, not only did they do that, but then they rolled the baked potato in salt and cooked it.
ooh.
I'm like, it came out with crystals of salt on it. I'm like, I'm scraping off the salt on there going, seriously? Do you have one before you get it salted or oiled up, buttered up? Can I just have a potato? Please. Is that possible?
That's too funny.
So,
But
you do have to ask because the restaurants are doing that now because it makes them taste better. And then they give you a cup of sour cream and butter. And then you see people putting all of that on there too, on top of it, after they've already, put the oil and the salt and the butter in already. So,
yes,
anyway.
I've seen it too. Yes, it's crazy. Stephanie's saying, I love that story. I'm glad the chef went over and beyond to make you something that fits your plant-based lifestyle.
Yeah, I know. And it does make me feel so good. Like if somebody, like if I get invited over, they go and make the effort and make something plant-based for me. That just means the world to me. Like you made that for me? Like, thank you so much. Like I'm so grateful. And I really am because it's difficult to eat this way. It really is. Not difficult, but to like go out to a restaurant or to be at somebody's house, because we're going up against the crowd.
Right. Yeah. And I'm in the South too. So sometimes it can be difficult depending on who I'm with. But most of my friends, well, I'm very blessed that I have very kind friends. And so some of them will insist that I pick the restaurant. But, I really tell them I can eat anywhere because I feel like if I communicate with, I can, right? I don't want to be someone that's so, oh, here's the troublemaker, I don't want to I want them to know that, I can eat as long as I'm pleasant, then they will help. That's the main thing. If you're going to not go in and complain to everyone, but say, this is who I am, and with a smile on your face, right? Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I do, and I usually bring food with me. So,
Right. And to be grateful, like you're saying, gratitude for the holidays that you've been invited. That's very, very important. Something that a lot of us forget, that we're blessed to have people that care about us and want to be
right,
with us, right? And these are people that don't understand, just like I used to not understand. These are people that are very addicted to casein and cheese and milk and dairy, just like I used to be. So
right.
they're not any different than me. I'm just lucky enough to be aware now. And these poor people are not aware, and it's
Yeah.
killing them.
Yep. No, for sure. And that's one of the things that I really try. I go out, I lecture at libraries, I help, do classes, I teach, all over to try and help people to get the word. And I started the Plant-Based Academy because you have questions and you need that support, because you're going to have far and few between, especially like if you're out like in the Midwest or someplace. I had to go to Minnesota a couple times, and it's like the land of mayonnaise. I mean, like, wow, everything's covered in mayonnaise sauce. And there was no restaurants that I could go to. They didn't like vegan. What's that? Are you like from another planet? What, it's like I had no options. So it can be hard, if you're in a community of very big animal eaters and they don't get it. There's not that knowledge of that. So it can be tough. And so having that support and guidance, we connect in the Plant-Based Academy. We do that at least twice a week. We do it through Zoom and connect. And I really like that a lot because we have people from beginning, plant-based living to people that have been plant-based almost as long as I have. But you still want to have that community and support, and you want to have, oh, hey, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? Try this. Oh my God, I made this. Oh, everyone crazy. So you can connect and share those mind-blowing recipes with other people that are just like, yeah, you got to try this. Wait till you see this. Ooh, 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 yum. And so when you can do that and be together, but then, okay, what about oxalates? Should I be worried about oxalates? You have these questions, like what vitamin D, are you using, or vitamin B12? Everybody should be taking vitamin B12, whether you are plant-based or not, omnivore, carnivore, whatever you consider yourself to be. Everybody needs to be taking B12. And there's two different types. There's methylcobalamin and there's cyanocobalamin. So which one do I take? And there's controversy, there's research about both kinds, and there's people that argue both ways. And so which way are you going to go and why? So there's a lot to learn, about yourself and nutrition, about this high performance vehicle, because we didn't come out of the chute with a owner's manual. I wish we did. It would be a lot helpful. It really would be. But we're kind of stumbling
Right.
along and realizing what is.
Right. And so tell us more about the academy.
Well, I got frustrated because in the beginning, like you had no one. I had all these questions, so I was the one going out, seeking out like the expert and learning and trying to figure this out because I'm a teacher, So I started learning about this and, doing the Cornell courses and McDougall and any courses that I could take, I started learning about and learning this and learning the research, because there's a lot of research out there about this. And then when the movies came out, to help support those and promote those. But, I didn't have anybody to turn to. And so I thought, oh my God, what these poor people, when you start, you're overwhelmed. It really is. There's a huge learning curve in the beginning. Well, I've done that all for you. I'm like, here it is. Here's the steps. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And then I've guided you all through the whole process. And if you go on to plantbasedacademy.net, all of my things are .net. So Plantbasedacademy.net. If you go to .com, it's like some cooking school in Ireland. So that's not
Okay.
me. So plantbasedacademy.net. And then there's a video that shows you all the things. So we have a dedicated Facebook group. There's no advertising at all. It's just us in the group. You can't find it. I've locked down all the permissions. So you can't see it, find it, comment unless you're in the group and invited personally by me. So, it's every day I post in there what I'm cooking or recipes or education, or somebody has a question, then I'm usually right on there to answer it. And we've got a range of people, from just people starting to people who've been plant-based for a long time. So people, if I'm not around, somebody else can answer and know it's going to be good information. So it's a great community of people that are caring and want to be together on this journey, because it's hard. It really is. When you're going out to the rest of the world, it's just nice, and I've created this community here on Cape Cod as well, local, but I've also done it with the Plant-Based Academy. So a lot of the people that are in the academy are from local here as well. So it's just nice. We've created this community. So hey, is anybody going down to Bread and Roses? We have a place that is, plant-based, not 100% plant-based, but moving towards it quite quickly. And who's anybody want to meet down there for lunch? I'm going into Hyannis today, and so we'll post it in the group, and you might have a taker or 2 or 3 or 5, and just have a nice lunch with people that you don't have to explain. And my husband and I like to do game nights, so we set up game nights, and we do that, and we get together with other couples that are plant-based, and we don't have to explain where you're going to get your protein from. I mean, it's a great question.
Right.
Great question. And I'm like, yeah, like, do you even know what the name of somebody who is protein deficient? Do you even know anybody protein deficient? No, you do not. Get over the protein. But okay. No, but for those people, it's a legitimate question, and I get it, because they only think that animals have protein, and okay, fine, whatever. But I don't have to explain that when I'm with my friends like this. And your friends change. It's not to say that I ditched all my other friends that aren't plant-based, but I don't hang out with them as much, because I like to go out to eat and play games and stuff like that, and I don't have to spend the time dealing with food and stuff like that, because we'll do okay, you bring this, I'll bring this, and we do a little kind of a mini potluck, and it's just fun. It's just fun to be with people that get you. But if you're in a place where there's none of that, first of all, you give tips and tricks on how to do that. How can you get the message out in your community? Because it's always just starts with one person, and then you get 2, and then 2 becomes 4, and 4 becomes 8. And, you start to build your group up, and it's pretty awesome. It really is.
Well, that's amazing, Jeanne. You have so much energy. So you are a great spokesperson for this. Amazing. Yes. And I love your knowledge. It sounds like you really went for it, right? You're like, this is it. I'm learning, and you're still learning. It's amazing. So I'm very grateful for everything you're doing.
Well, I've got a YouTube channel as well,
Okay.
and I posted a lot of cooking videos that I put on my website, Simply Plant Based, over here, simplyplantbased.net. I put under there their cooking videos that are plant-based and teaching you how to cook this way. So those are out there. They're free. I've done lectures, and interviews with some of the top people in the country, especially, one of the newest things is about your gut biome, and how, it's so important to heal that, because that's going to help you get your health back, is when you heal your gut biome, and how to do that, how to transition into that from what I call the SAD diet, because it is a transition. You're going to have to heal your gut biome. So, and especially people are sick. People are really sick out there, from type 2 diabetes and obesity and, heart disease and on and on and on, and cancer. I mean, I just don't want to get that phone call. I don't. And so I'm doing everything that I possibly can to not get that call. So
Well, good. You're inspiring. I love your energy. So yeah, this is wonderful. And your tips, all of this has been wonderful. Let me put up one last comment. I see that Stephanie said, You know, she had been to a dinner party at someone's house and the host made something special for her. Very heartwarming. That's sweet.
Yeah.
Definitely. She's a great coach. She was my business coach and she's plant-based and very, very healthy, very sweet, very kind-hearted. So yeah, well, this is wonderful. Do you have any last words for us? I mean, please, everyone, go check out Jeanne's YouTube channel. Check out the Academy. Struggling here is someone that has all this knowledge and full of life. So really reach out to Jeanne. Yeah.
Well, I'd love to. I mean, and that's what I want to do is I just want to spend, I've kind of stepped out of the classroom after almost 40 years of teaching chemistry and environmental science. I was that chemistry teacher who said, okay, who wants to take a chemistry midterm exam or do a project? It's like, duh. What I don't care what the project is, I'm in, and I would
Right.
make them do an analysis of 3 personal care products and what the chemicals are. Are they organic or inorganic? Are they, what impact do they have on the body? I mean, there's all this research out there, and their eyes were just like, oh my God, because there's no regulation in this country. And if anybody's looking for toxic-free products, I found them. It was a company started by a girl who was 15 years old. And not only did she start that company, her parents went on to start Plant City in Providence, Rhode Island. And if you've not heard about Plant City, it is amazing. It's the first plant-based market hall in the country. There's 4 plant-based restaurants, a sushi bar, it's all plant-based. It's incredible. It's incredible. So this family is just amazing. So if anybody wants that, you can go on, plantbasedacademy.net. And the same thing under Simply Plant-Based. It's also, you can find the resources there too, either one of those websites. And I share with you the things because I want to share this lifestyle. I just want to shout from the rooftops because it's so powerful. But I also call it the trifecta. So you have to change what goes in, food and drink. You have to change what goes on. So the personal care products and the environmental toxins we're being exposed to. And then you have to exercise. I mean, there's more to health than that, but if you don't have that foundation of those 3, yeah, you can't build off of that. That's a wobbly platform. So you've got to have those 3 pieces together. So.
Oh, well, I'm very inspired. I'm very inspired by this talk. So I am very grateful, and I'm going to look at your channel for some good recipes to make for this Thanksgiving. And actually, I need one for tomorrow, so I'm going to be checking that out later tonight. So, yeah. So everybody that's watching, please subscribe to this channel, to Jeanne's channel, and check out all of her wonderful resources. And thank you, Jeanne, so much for this. It's just been a blessing.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to share my knowledge.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Stephanie, JJ, and everybody watching on the replay. Thanks for your nice comments. And I'll say namaste vegan, everybody. Bye.